Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
And a sunrise it was this morning. Gosh, good morning, everybody. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. Wow, great weather, isn't it? This is the kind of weather I live for all year long. Those nice, warm evenings and great afternoons, and then kind of crisp, cool mornings. Just kind of wake up nice and easy and have a nice, cool evening. Or during the night, maybe throw on a blanket. It's okay with me. We were talking about that on the way here. You can always throw a blanket on, but when it's hot, you can never get cool enough. Oh gosh, hope you're doing well, and I hope you're enjoying everything that's in Chautauqua County. Fabulous, fabulous place to live. So glad you could join us. Good afternoon for those of you that are listening to me on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown. Thanks for joining us on the radio. Thanks for watching us wherever you are in the world. We stream everywhere, and we're going to talk a little bit of some folks across the water here in a bit. And of course, we rebroadcast throughout the week on channel 1301 Spectrum at 2 and 8 every day of the week. So hopefully things that we talk about here are of interest to you. And I have my good friend today in the wings, New York State Senator George Borrello, who's going to be joining me shortly. And the only rule I have here, of course, is be nice if you call in. Okay, we always like to have a healthy dialogue about things, and we just want everybody to be civil, because sometimes we get people on show and people want to get a little gruff or whatever, but let's keep it nice. Okay, and if you do want to call in, there it is. You give us a call at 716-753-5225. If you are shy and you don't want to talk to one of us, you just talk to Randy, who probably will answer the phone. He'll write down the message as best he can and get it to me during the show. If you have an announcement for a fundraiser, for instance, a couple weeks ago, we had the Mayville American Legion. They had, at the Legion, they were doing a chicken barbecue for the Lions Club, and we got a call in on that. So it's free of charge. Spread the news, spread the good word. If it's birthday, anniversary, whatever, you can do a shout out to a friend or relative. Usually we don't talk about people's ages. I get in trouble for that one. Anyways, there's a lot of good stuff going on in our county. We want to share it with everybody else. Okay, let's see here. I got a few things I want to share with you before we get started, and I got some announcements as well. Let's see, where do I start? All right, I want to do a shout out to the Mayville Chamber of Commerce. They have music in the park, and our band, the Midnight Growlers, we play there Thursday. What a great setting. If you haven't been to a music in the park, I don't care what town you're in, you're missing a great opportunity this summer. The weather's great. The bands are outstanding in our county. We are so blessed to have great musicians and writers and authors and all forms of entertainment. You've got the National Comedy Center that's going crazy right now with all kinds of great shows. Lots of good things. But anyways, we had a great night in Mayville, and we appreciate the folks that came out and sang with us and clapped and hung right in with us. And usually just for a couple hours, you bring a lawn chair or a blanket. It's free of charge. You had some food trucks there. Good time. And that's going to continue through the summer. Okay? So keep that going. I got a real interesting note today, and I got to just go to my phone to grab it. It's from Stephanie Stevens. She sent me a message this morning. Let's see, I just got to grab it here. And if you had watched the show about a month ago, we were talking all about the fact that the YWCA from Westfield was supporting the cause in Ukraine and the YWCA of Kiev or Ukraine. And they were raising funds here locally to help them out. So I'm going to just share some of the little bit of the update that I received today. So Stephanie said that she'll send money to the Ukraine as she collects it from time to time through PayPal. And this is from Natalie Yuli, who is the director of the YWCA in the Ukraine. And it says basically, dear Stephanie, thank you so much for the $1,390 from PayPal through the YWCA. And as many of you know, if you've donated, Stephanie collects the money and then sends over one big lump sum to the Ukraine from time to time. She says, thank you very much for our women and me personally. I know how much efforts it takes to organize this support. And then she goes on to say that she's still in Kiev. So Natalie, I know that you're probably watching, and so I hope you're doing well. She says she's calmer and feeling better, although she and her son endured a bombing close by a few weeks ago at 4:30 in the morning. And then there was explosions and a rocket, and that's really just incredible that I'm reading this to you right now. I mean, this is coming from the Ukraine as we speak. There was a little village that had been bombed by them, but they're still staying calm, and the YWCA there is still online. It says that they're still helping women. They have psychologists, Ina. They're always in touch with those who need support, especially that are having financial issues, but also any psychological issues. And they're going to start this fall with live cheerleading groups. I'm not sure what that means, but they want to do certain kinds of online therapies and keeping women in their spirits up. So women are fleeing from the east and south to the north and west, and they're working with volunteer groups. And it goes on and on and on. But the whole point is that we do encourage you, if you are so inclined, to support the YWCA in the Ukraine via the YWCA in Westfield. And if you go to the local YWCA Westfield website, it's ywca.org/Ukraine, and you can donate there if you're interested. So good on our folks here in Westfield for doing the work of helping sister organizations around the world. And I know Stephanie is dedicated to helping those folks. So Natalia, I hope you're doing well, and I know you watch the show from time to time, and we're friends on Facebook as well. She comments on my culinary interest in mushrooms. Okay. I was at a soiree. That's an interesting word. Randy was there as well last night for the Lakeshore Center for the Arts. And I looked around. It was like a big picnic. And Jackie Phillips home. And I was looking around the group, and like half the people been on the show here. So we are all like one big family there. But where I wanted to share with you is that Rick Mascaro, the executive director of the Lakeshore Center for the Arts, he's promoting a really cool thing that's international. He is accepting plays from individuals from 8 to 10 minutes long, so they're not real big plays, and they're having a competition. I believe it's in March, but they're accepting these plays up till December 1. I understand they got plays already from Ireland and all across the United States and a few other countries, and there's a prize. I don't remember the details of all that, but if you go to the Lakeshore Center for the Arts website, you can enter the contest of writing your own play. So if you are listening right now and you've had some long desire to write a play, 8 to 10 minutes long, that's it, and you can enter the competition. Sounds like a lot of fun. I'm thinking about it. Maybe I should write a play about a guy that does a TV show, Emerald. What do you think? Jeff liked the idea. I'll write you guys in, okay? All right. Of course, on a very sad note, I want to share with you is that I sit here right now and I get to talk to all of you around the world, throughout the county, throughout the state, wherever you're listening right now. And it's because we are protected for our First Amendment rights to free speech and the press. And I was just shocked, as the rest of the world was yesterday, when there was that horrible, horrible attack on, and I do the best I can to pronounce names. Salman Rushdie was attacked, and I just wanted to say, personally from myself and my own family and the crew here, was that we hope he has a speedy recovery. We know it's going to be very, very long. He sustained some very, very critical injuries, and just the fact that in our own home area here, that someone could be attacked for their free thought, their free speech. That's something that we hold so dear. Whether you agree with me or not, that doesn't matter. The fact that we have the opportunity to have dialogue and to say what we think without beating on each other, all right? So we hope he heals well. We hope that the authorities take care of whatever they got to do with the individual that did the attack, and that to reassure that we still have that freedom and that protected right under the First Amendment of our U.S. Constitution. All right, with that, we'll circle back on that with my guest a little bit, but I want to go on some other announcements. All right, on a brighter note, August 14th is the 100th anniversary community picnic from noon to 6 at Dunkirk Camp and Conference Center over on Lake Road in Dunkirk. Help the Dunkirk Camp and Conference Center celebrate their 100th anniversary with a fun-filled afternoon for the whole family, including a variety of activities, games, bounce houses, swimming, food, and raffles. Admission is free, so let's see, that's tomorrow, right? Today's the 13th? All right, admission is free and prices vary for food and activities. Participants are encouraged to bring a lawn chair. For more information, give them a call at 366-1900. 366-1900. And I think that's the first time I've announced that here. I don't recall that one. So that's the 100th year anniversary community picnic. Sounds cool. All right, coming up next week, August 23rd, the 5th annual Chautauqua County Farmer Neighbor Dinner. At 5 p.m. at the Grand View of Ellington, over on West Hill in Ellington, New York. Celebrate Chautauqua County's rich agricultural industry by meeting local producers and tasting foods sourced locally from our county. Social hour starts at 5 p.m. with dinner at 6. Tickets are only $20. Sounds really good. If you want more information, give them a call 664-2351 to reserve your tickets. Again, 664-2351 extension 5. That's the annual Chautauqua County Farmer Neighbor Dinner. That's a new one on me. I don't remember that one. All right, we got a slide here from PAX. Okay, let's pop that up. This is a free virtual workshop for any adult who interacts with children. Parents, caregivers, aunts, uncles, daycare providers, etc. You can participate. Remember, it's free. 2-part training First part is August 22nd. Second is on August 29th. It runs from noon to 1:30 via Zoom, so there's no reason you can't participate. Do you want to reduce conflict, have better relationships, help your children manage their own behaviors? You need PAX Tools. We've talked about this before. What are PAX Tools? PAX Tools is a collection of evidence-based, trauma-informed strategies to improve cooperation and self-regulation with your youth. PAX Tools draws on decades of science to create strategies that support parents, youth workers, and other caring adults to create a nurturing environment that ultimately helps kids thrive. If you're interested, you go to Prevention Works, and they're involved there. And you can find them on the internet, and there's one of those QR codes there. I don't know if you can pick it off your TV or not, but contact them and they'll get you signed up. And I am sure by now, parents have been having their kids at home for a long summer, and they might be at the end of their last route, pulling out their hair. Anyways, schools are not far away, but these are things that you use year round, and I used to teach some of these skills as far as dealing with parents. It's good to have because not everybody has all that training or knows the tricks of the trade. All right, now let's go on to the movies at the Reg. All right, here we go. Eiffel and the Top Gun movie called Maverick. So there's two different ones, Eiffel and Top Gun Maverick, to show at the Reg Lene. All right, coming up this Wednesday, Eiffel revolves around Gustave Eiffel as he finishes his collaboration on the Statue of Liberty and is pressured by the French government to design something spectacular for the 1889 Paris World Fair. Eiffel simply wants to design the subway, but everything changes when he crosses paths with a mysterious woman from his past. Who could she be? Their long-lost forbidden passion inspires him to build the iconic Eiffel Tower. I didn't know that. Eiffel is rated R, and it's 108 minutes long. And then Top Gun Maverick, Friday, August 19th at 7 p.m. Pete Mitchell, played by Tom Cruise, finds himself training a detachment of naval aviators for a specialized mission and likes of which no living pilot has ever seen. He encounters Lieutenant Bradley Bradshaw. His call sign is Rooster. I think we remember him from the other movie. The son of Maverick's late friend and radar intercept officer Lieutenant Nick Bradshaw, also known as Goose. Facing an uncertain future and confronting the ghost of his past, Maverick is drawn into a confrontation with his own deepest fears, culminating in a mission that demands the ultimate sacrifice from those who will be chosen to fly. Top Gun is Maverick is rated PG-13. It's 131 minutes long. I've heard really good reviews on this. In fact, it's excellent, and I guess it's been breaking a lot of records at the box office. How much are the tickets? Only $7. For movies, if there's a family film, it's $6 with an additional $1 theater restoration fee. You want to go to the box office on Monday and Fridays from 12 to 5 and Wednesdays 12 to 8. Or you can go and call 716-484-7070, 716-484-7070, or go online to reglene.com. All right, that's it for our announcements. It's as easy as it gets. People, you can send them to us over our email site at chautauquasunrise@gmail.com, and we'll announce it like we just did, or you can call it in, whatever you like. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back. We have a public service announcement for you. This is for you.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
And we're back. All right. Thanks for joining us here on Chautauqua Sunrise. This morning, my guest, who's been with me, I don't know, a number of times, I have lost count, George Borrello, who is our New York State Senator from the 57th district?
57th Senate District.
Senate district.
Yes.
Is that all there are, 57, or are there more than that?
No, actually there's 63
I always
senators.
ask you this, I never
yes,
remember.
so there's 63 members of the Senate, and I'm 57, and one of the furthest from Albany, as a matter of fact.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I ever shared this story with you, but when I became superintendent of Ripley, I think I was in the job 2 weeks, and I get a call, and my secretary says, the Commissioner of Education wants to talk to you, his office. And I go, no, really? And then she says, no, it's and I go, what do they want? She says, they want you to go to Albany and, Friday. I go, it's Tuesday. And so I said, this is for real, because I thought people pulled jokes on me that I was, commissioners already checking up on me. So I said, all right, I'll take the call. And they said, oh yeah, the commissioner would invite you to a meeting of new superintendents on Friday. I go, do you have any idea where I live? She goes, it doesn't matter. You're still invited. I go, it's 5.5 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be about 5 hours from where you live.
Yeah, right? It's if on a good day, if there's no traffic, about 4:45.
Yeah, I said about.
It's a long trip to Albany, and there are so many of. Also, it's a big district, right? The New York State is a huge state geographically, and this district is. 4,139 square miles, and it spans 4 counties currently, and it's going to get bigger. 57th Senate District will get bigger now after redistricting.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, in
so
fact.
You got Chautauqua. Let me see if I guess them all. Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, Allegheny, and I don't remember the last one.
Livingston. There are 8 towns currently in Livingston County.
Okay.
So from Lake Erie to the Finger Lakes, it's a sprawling district.
Wow. And so what's Livingston's going to be added, or it's there?
No,
now?
Livingston will no longer be in the 57th Senate District.
So
although
cool.
I will say I love the folks up there. They've been fabulous, and I really appreciate representing them. So the new district will be all of Chautauqua, all of Cattaraugus, now half of Allegheny County, and all of Wyoming County, and all of Genesee County.
Oh, you're going north?
Yes, yes.
What?
So that's what the special master, the person who wrote the maps that the judge approved after the lawsuit, and that's what they drew. The district had to grow by about 40,000 more people.
So you're talking Batavia?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Batavia.
You can see all my cousins up there.
Oh, Batavia's a great town too. I've
got all my Sicilian relatives, the Messinas, the Ruffinos.
Oh, there you go.
Fiorellas. I'll be checking on you.
Yeah, you have your spies.
You'll be in good company though, Borrello.
That's right. Yeah, I'll fit in. I'll fit right in. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so after the redistricting, of course, there will still be 63 Senate districts, but there will now be bigger districts in, particularly up here in Western New York and much of upstate New York.
So is Joe getting the other half of?
So actually, Tom O'Mara, who is from Steuben County, he is a great guy. He will get the other half of Allegheny County as part of that district. His district, 58th district. So I believe it's 58th. So some of them got renumbered. I was one of the ones whose number didn't change. Now here's the interesting thing.
Now you don't have to get rid of all your stationery, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Interestingly enough, the 59th, now I'm 57, 58. The 59th district stretches to Queens. That's just very odd, very odd.
All the way along the bottom.
I'm like, this can't be right, but yeah. So it's the new districts were drawn again by a special master as a result of the lawsuit. The previous set of maps were thrown out, and the special master out of Carnegie Mellon University, as a matter of fact, in Pittsburgh, drew the maps.
All right, so I guess it kind of makes sense a little bit for Genesee and Wyoming.
Yeah.
Because they're similar to Chautauqua County and Allegheny, right?
Yeah, in fact, that's really, if you look at the constitutional amendment that the people of New York voted in, you're supposed to keep together what they call communities of interest.
Okay.
And the purpose was, for the whole thing, was to eliminate, or as much as possible, politics and political gerrymandering.
Yeah.
That's so prevalent, obviously, not just here in New York, but across the nation. And the idea was to keep communities of interest together. So really, when you look at it that way, and the dominance of agriculture, the rural communities, small cities, small towns, the 57th Senate District, the new 57th, certainly meets, I think, meets that charge.
When I was growing up as a kid, and I wasn't kidding about Batavia. We have a lot of family up there. I had a cousin, John Messina. He was a big farmer, and they have muck land there, and the soil there is incredibly rich, and that whole region is so agricultural. So that, like I said, in a way, it kind of makes sense, but it kind of wraps around in Buffalo in a way, you know, that whole area.
Yeah.
Western New York.
Yeah. In fact, I was just at the Genesee County Fair. I went to the 4-H auction there, and it's, you know, the fairgrounds are in Batavia, you know, like in the outskirts of Batavia, and just very rich agricultural history there, and you know, certainly looking forward, assuming the voters send me back, that to be representing those folks.
So when would this take place? January 1?
January 1, technically. You know, of course, the election will be in November, November 8th. And that'll determine who the next representative is for the 57th Senate District.
You know, I always like the show to be educational in some aspects, so we just use the word gerrymandering. I know what that means, and let's see if I get it right. It's basically something that went back like hundreds of years ago, where somebody tried to create a map that was to their political advantage, and was messing with boundaries, and it may not even be political parties. I don't remember what the whole story was exactly, but the whole idea was it was to the advantage of the individual to get the votes or land masses or resources. Am I on the right track here?
Absolutely. In fact, there is a I guess a legend, if you will, that involves Chautauqua County with gerrymandering. So, in fact, our county clerk Larry Barmore, who's a history buff, tells the story better than I. But at actually the town of Gary, and someone said after they went to the redistricting, they looked at this district that was drawn. He said, "Boy, it looks like a salamander." And the person that responded was from the town of Gary and said,
"I did not know that."
Gerrymandered. So technically, according to Larry, it's really pronounced gerrymandered if you consider that it was in the town right here in Chautauqua County, the town of Gary.
What do you know? Well, I learned something.
Yes. So you can all fact check me on that if you want out there, but that's the story as it was told to me by Larry Barmore. So.
And I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
You know, we mentioned history. I'm the town historian in Ripley, and I was thinking that Ripley has a history of sending people to Albany. And I don't know if you know all the history of the position you hold, but Charles Hamilton, the Hamilton Mansion fame in Ripley, was a state. Was an assemblyman, I think,
right, I believe that's correct.
From Ripley, and then a guy named Joe McGinnis was a representative from Ripley, and I don't remember if they were assemblymen or if they were senators, but they were representing us in Albany, and people forget those things. They always remember modern days, you know.
Yeah.
And in some cases, some folks like Just President was, Bill Parment were there for years and years and years, but there were people before them that's represented us in Albany, and now of course you're doing the same. And just to get the discussion going, Andy Goodell is a state assemblyman,
Correct.
And you're a state senator.
Correct.
So how, once again, what's the difference, and why do we have both?
So New York is, has bicameral. We have two houses. Okay, so the state assembly, and in fact, I just went to a national leadership conference, and most other states have two houses. Some have only one. Ours, some meet for a very short period of time. I mean, literally, some states they only meet for a month out of the year. We meet in session for about 6 months, but it is a year-round job because the rest of the time is in the district. But just to go back to your question, so we have an assembly which is 150 members, and Andy Goodell is the 150th district, so the last and again the furthest from Albany, and 63 members of the Senate. They're both done by population, and it's just that the Senate is larger populations. So because they're both population based, that's why you have these vast differences. When you go down to New York City, you can have the member of the assembly. With less people than the Senate, that literally can walk their entire district. Because it's all like 63 stories above. Exactly. Yes. Literally, there are members of the Assembly whose district consists of a block or two in the most densely populated.
When you think about it.
Yes, compared to my district, Andy Goodell's district, which is all of Chautauqua County. And mine with again 4,139 square miles.
Now, will Andy's district change at all?
Yeah, a little bit, not as much. He will be. My understanding, if I remember correctly, is he will pick up, I believe, portions of the Seneca Nation of Indians as part of his new assembly district. Mine's a little more dramatic of a change.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, so the 57th Senate district, a little more dramatic of a change. But yeah, that's, you know, every 10 years this happens, redistricting, and this is because this is required after the census. So this happens nationally, and it is to basically reapportion population. You know, New York lost a congressional district as a result of population loss.
Right.
You know, states like Florida, I believe Florida picked up 2. Texas picked up, I believe, 1 or 2.
Right.
So, you know, this was part of the process to ensure that representation followed where people moved to.
Right. And keeping it fair.
Right.
And speaking of elections and congressional seats and so forth, there's a special election on August 23rd that many of us have gotten postcards on, I'm sure, at home. And I know that you're going to do your best explanation of what we're facing, because you and I chatted about it, and I think I got it, but I'm not sure. So go for it.
Well, let me start off by saying the reason that we have this is because of the result of the gerrymandered districts that were through a court of law, through the highest court in New York State, the Court of Appeals, thrown out as being illegal and unconstitutional. But it created a lot of chaos, and added chaos when our Congressman Tom Reed, you know, resigned to go into the private sector. So that created the fact that we have 2 elections, at least here in Chautauqua County, on August 23rd, which is a very unusual date, a date that was set by the judge, the state Supreme Court judge, in order to try to lessen the impact of the chaos. So we had a June 28th primary. That was for the governor in the both Democrat and Republican,
right,
and for the state assembly.
Correct.
Now August 23rd will be a primary that will include, in this case, Congress here in Chautauqua County will be a primary for Republicans, and then a special election for the remaining 3 or 4 months of Tom Reed's term in the current 23rd Congressional District. And the primary, which is a Republican primary, will be for the new 23rd Congressional District. So are you following me so far?
All right. So when I go to the polling place
on August
23rd.
Well, and you can start actually. Let me to make things even more confusing. Actually, early voting starts today.
Okay.
And we have a total of 10 days of voting, 9 days of early voting today, and you can go to votechautauqua.com. That's the Board of Elections website. Chautauqua.com. But it is at the Chautauqua Mall here down in the south end of the county, and it is in at the fairgrounds in Dunkirk in the north end of the county, and I believe also right here in Mayville at the Board of Elections office as well. Starting today, and then that will go through next Sunday. There is no early voting on Monday, a week from Monday, we'll say. And then the Tuesday, August 23rd is the official election day, where you will vote in your normal polling place that you would normally vote at.
All right. So let's talk primary first.
Sure.
All right. So I understand the primary. You got in this case, it's the Republican Party is having a primary because somebody says we got more than one candidate on that has fulfilled the requirements to run for this office, and they're going to have a runoff.
Correct.
All right. So that's one election.
Right.
And then we're voting to replace Tom Reed.
Yes.
And who are the candidates for that?
So the 2 candidates in the special election. Now again, this is literally to only fill less than 4 months of the remainder of the term by the time the election occurs, and that is on the Republican side. You have 2 candidates. On the Republican side, Joe Sempolinski, who is from Steuben County. He is actually he spent several years working for Congressman Tom Reed.
Okay.
And he is the Republican candidate. And we have Max Delapia,
right,
who's the Democratic candidate. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly where he is from. However, I will tell you, he's a retired Navy veteran. Okay. Those are the 2 candidates.
All right. So
now that's
if you're any party, doesn't matter. You get to vote for those 4 months for Congress.
If you're a registered voter,
right,
you can vote in that. Any registered voter, regardless of party or no affiliation at all, can vote for the special election if you are within the congressional district, which is it's 11 counties.
Okay.
All are part of 11 counties. So here, including Chautauqua County.
So I walk in, I'm not Republican, I get a ballot and I vote for that.
Correct.
If I'm Republican, I walk in, I get 2 ballots.
That's correct. That's where it gets a little, I will say, confusing. So if you are a Republican, you will get a ballot for the special election, where you will see Joe Sempolinski and Max Delapia.
Right.
And if you are a Republican, you will also get a primary ballot, 2 separate ballots.
Who's on that one?
So there will be 2 names on that. There will be Carl Palladino and Nick Langworthy.
Okay.
Nick Langworthy is the current Republican chair, state party chair.
Okay.
And Carl is a businessman from Buffalo.
Out of Buffalo. And we've seen his name from over the years.
Yeah.
Woo! So all right. So how do you prove, I wonder, you got to be on the voter registration, right?
Yeah, so typically what happens, especially if you go for early voting, you will likely not be voting in your typical polling place.
Right.
So they have these things called electronic poll books. And you walk up and you tell them who you are, and they will pull up your name, and you will
have to have ID of some sort.
Well, no, not in New York State.
No?
That's a whole other controversial issue.
All right, we'll go there.
But you will say who you are, and then they will pull it up, and you will sign electronically on that poll book.
Okay.
And that will happen in early voting, at the early voting sites. Again, votechautauqua.com for more information. And then on Election Day, August 23rd, which is the special election / primary election, which is also an unusual date, that will be at your normal polling site.
And they have their registration books and all that stuff.
Right, all that.
Okay, just like you normally do.
Just normally. Like,
all right, we checked that off the list. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I only had that part right in my brain. All right. I mentioned Mr. Rushdie.
Yes.
And did you have any comment on that at all?
Well, yeah. First and foremost, my thoughts and prayers go out to Salman Rushdie, his family. This is a man who has lived, a very precarious life since the publishing of his controversial book, The Satanic Verses. I bought that book back in 1989 when I was still in college, as did so many others, as a symbol of support for him and for his basic right, his basic human right of free speech.
Right.
Read that book, and over the last decade or so, things had been calmed down. But I think in general we have to admit that people have become more, emboldened, extreme over the last couple of years, and we saw that unfortunately play out.
Yeah.
I actually happened to be at Chautauqua Institution yesterday morning. I had a meeting with Dr. Michael Hill, the president of Chautauqua Institution, P.J. Wendell, our county executive, Andy Goodell, and some other folks. We had a breakfast meeting, and Salman Rushdie was not far away from us, as a matter of fact, having his breakfast. I left shortly before that incident occurred. Chautauqua Institution is an amazing treasure.
Absolutely.
And their focus on the arts and on politics and on
thought.
Thought. Exactly. And they often do have, we will call controversial speakers.
Yeah.
And I am not only am I saddened by the incident and angered by the incident and the fact that there is no room, first of all, in a free society for such radical extremism, and the fact that if someone disagrees with you, that you feel justified in trying to kill them.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree with that. That should not happen in a free society, certainly not in the United States of America. That being said, there's another issue that we have been working on for quite a while, myself and someone, Andy Goodell, and that is to get the Chautauqua Institution Police Department official New York State Special Deputy status. We passed it twice in this New York State Legislature unanimously, and Andrew Cuomo vetoed it twice. It has not yet made it through, but this is a life or death call now that we do have to give them this special deputy status. Why is that important? It's important because it gives them the ability to use force if necessary, to make arrests, and also gives them access to the emergency radio system that every other member of law enforcement uses in the interoperable system, which gives them access to all types of first responders, fire, paramedic, everything else. So, you know, this is a very tragic moment, but it also highlights the need for us to bring that special deputy status to Chautauqua Institution.
It's a shame when you have to have something radically horrific to make change, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's sad, and that's, you know, and you know, I've heard different things about Mr. Rushdie and the fact that he may lose an eye over this.
Liver damage.
Liver damage, yeah. So, again, horrific. Could have been worse, of course.
Yeah.
But the fact that it happened here highlights the fact that it can happen anywhere.
Okay. All right. Well, again, our hearts and well wishes go out to him and his family.
Yeah.
Let's switch up a little bit here. I follow you in the newspaper and media. Do you ever feel like you're the guy that's always yelling into a fan?
You know what? I'll keep yelling into the fan if I have to. You know what? I wouldn't say that. I think in so many ways, you know, it's an opportunity to highlight things that people aren't always aware of and thinking about. Yes, sometimes I'm swimming upstream.
I mean, every time I read the paper, Borrello says no on this, and Borrello disagrees with that. I go, George, is there nothing you guys can agree with there in Albany?
Well, there's a lot. The problem is the things we agree on don't get a lot of coverage.
Well, I wish they would.
Yeah. You know, no, I mean, if you think about it, we passed, I believe, close to 1,100 bills this year.
Really?
And, you know, if I probably voted no on 20% of those bills. So the stuff that we agree on, nobody really covers. That's not newsworthy, right? Also, we've done some amazing things. I think I've been on your show talking about the Nourish New York, the success, the fabulous success, a collaboration between myself and Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz, a Democrat from Queens.
Imagine that.
Yeah, so I worked very hard this year with Diane Savino, a Democrat from Staten Island, to try and strengthen Kendra's law. You know, so I can point out several things. So there's, you know, again, those bipartisan cooperative things that we've been able to accomplish, good things. They're not newsworthy.
I wish they would show more of that, to tell you the truth, because, like I said, seriously, if someone says, well, tell me, what do you think about Borrello? And I say, he's the guy that's always arguing with everybody.
Well, you know, I would say this, that it's important to highlight things that I think the vast majority of people in this area need to know about and are concerned about. But you know, and I will also give credit to our local media. They do a fantastic job. They often find those little nuggets of good things, you know, by searching the legislation that has passed, and they will highlight those things. Right. So you know, it's good to keep the folks here in the area.
Well, and a lot of times they're just pulling stories off the wire. So I mean, I'm not saying that they're covering you, but
sure,
I mean, but the things I do see, they're going like, whew.
Yeah.
So you've been in Albany, what, 3 years now?
Yeah, just about.
So
not quite, 2.5 we'll call it.
Well, third year.
Yeah.
Because I know you did the 1 year and then then you were elected. So off the top of your head, the first thing that comes to your mind as soon as I ask this question, maybe you can't answer it if you do that. But what do you learn there? What
have I learned?
Yeah.
I would say I've learned two things. Number one, I've learned that even though there are people that I disagree with, you know, wholeheartedly on fundamental issues, that we still have the ability to talk and have conversation. Good. And I did not expect that. In fact, you know, I had people warn me that, you know, just be prepared to be treated like mud on the bottom of their shoes, and that's not the case. The second thing that I learned is that there are, unfortunately, many of my colleagues that just don't do enough research, do not do enough due diligence, and they are sponsoring and passing bills, and that's what concerns me. That's why I disagree with so often. Right. Because they're often, particularly my downstate colleagues, are often handed things by the advocates, the special interests, and said, "Here, pass this bill." And if you need any proof of that, if you think that I'm exaggerating, all you have to do is watch a debate, and you will see myself and someone on the other side of the aisle debating what we refer to as a controversial bill, something from the controversial calendar. In other words, the vast majority of bills pass on the non-controversial calendar. Right. Then we lay a bill aside and we debate it. That's called the controversial calendar. Okay. And you will see myself, usually by myself, debating the bill, the bill that they wrote, with nobody standing near me. And once in a while, I may have one of our staffers, you know, a legal staffer, in case I need some technical assistance on something in the debate. Then you will go to the person on the other side of the aisle, the person whose name is on the bill, and you will see, in some cases, 6 or 8 people standing around them to help them answer those questions.
Oh, wow.
So that tells you that they don't really know what's in that bill.
Wow.
So that's the only proof you need, in my opinion.
Well, and that's why I brought up the fact that you always seem to be argumentative in the press, not because the press sees you that way. That's because you're doing that. Mm-hmm. You're pushing back.
Yes.
And, you know, and I have a history of being the guy in the meeting that asks all the questions all the time. When I was on different boards to the boards I'm on now, I ask questions and the people look at me and it's like, what's the answer? I mean, I'm not just doing this just to be a pain in the neck. I really want to know.
Yes.
You know, and the thing I appreciated long ago when we first talked about marijuana, and I know we're switching gears, but it's the same idea. I'm segueing into that because that was something we want to talk about. Yeah. You had said to me, well, if we approve marijuana products, well, where do marijuana brownies fall in? Where does and I had not even considered all of the aspects, you know, of that thing. So I could see where you would want to really delve into the research and say, well, what exactly is this door opening in Pandora's box? You know,
exactly. And
so where?
Well, and let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, where are we with that?
So these arguments, these debates, these are very important, and I'll tell you why. Because the legislation is often put together very hastily, without consulting all the stakeholders that will be impacted. Mm-hmm. And there are many unintended consequences, and there are many things that are very vague and undefined by the legislation. So when we debate these bills, we get the sponsor on record to say, did you intend, do you realize this is a consequence of this? Or,
unintended consequence.
Did you realize that? And oftentimes we can get them to say, no, that is not what we want to happen, which is important, because then when that is handed off to those in the executive branch that have to then enforce that law or that rule, they know, because of the debate, that no, this is not the intention. And you need to adjust and fine-tune the regulations based on the fact that that was not the intent, or that is the intent.
Right.
It also oftentimes highlights things that, in the end, it may not pass in the assembly because we've pointed out some major flaws and changes we made. And then we get what's called a chapter amendment. In fact, I will tell you that this year, and in every year since I've been there, more bills that we passed were chapter amendments, corrections of errors, than there were actual original bills this year. So,
but that makes sense.
That's it. But
that sounds like good lawmaking to me.
Yes, it's the part that nobody really talks about, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, good.
So it allows us debates and these things where it looks like I'm just arguing back and forth, and they say, well, you argued it and it passed anyway. But then it was amended.
Right.
Then it changed before it went to the Assembly, and then it had to come back to the Senate for change. And then the governor didn't sign it.
So how many of these have you been involved with, these chapter amendments?
Oh gosh, hundreds. So
it's true. You do argue.
Yes. No. You know, and I will say that I am. You know, there are out of the 20 members of the Republican conference, I'm probably in the top 3 or 4 as far as debates. But these are important things. Like I said, people say, well, you debate it, but it passes anyway. But it's important. People don't realize the chapter amendments or the fact that there are many bills that never make it to the governor's desk because of the debates and the issues.
So where does a bill start, in the Assembly or the Senate?
It can start in either one.
So it's got to go through one house, then to the other house.
Right. Well, in fact, it can actually happen simultaneously. You have to have matching bills, essentially. You have to have the language of the bills in order for it to pass. It has to, like, you could have a bill that affects the same issue, but if it's not the same language in both the Senate and the Assembly, then there is no. It does not go to the governor's desk.
Right.
So that you have to have matching legislation.
Right. Word for word.
Pretty much word for word. Yeah. And then if it passes both houses, then it goes to the governor's desk for potentially to be signed or vetoed. So that's the process.
Right. And it's just like in Washington, basically.
Sure, yeah, very much the same. Yeah, very similar process.
So Andy is known as the Bulldog. So what's your nickname?
Well, honestly, he's the floor leader, first of all.
Right.
And that's really, it's really, we should be proud of the fact that he is the person who decides what bills end up on the debate calendar, and he often debates most of those bills. He's a very smart person, and I think maybe the term maybe was attack dog. I wouldn't put him in that category.
But he told me they called him Bulldog.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is, on top of being one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Andy is also the person who leads those debates typically in the assembly.
So no nickname yet.
Not one that I should share on the air. No.
Okay. Well,
I'm kidding.
When you got your nickname, you let me know. Okay. So there's other things that are coming up that you wanted. Oh, marijuana.
Yeah.
We didn't get to it. So where's it at?
So it's nowhere, to be quite honest with you. So here we are. The bill passed in March of 2021. Mm-hmm. So give or take 18 months ago, a year and a half ago, okay? On day one, they created the Office of Cannabis Management, and they decriminalized the possession of illegal marijuana. They being the state legislature and the governor.
Okay.
Okay. Because I didn't vote for it. I didn't support it for a number of reasons. They told us that they're going to create this Office of Cannabis Management, and they're going to fill it with people who are going to create the structure, the infrastructure, so that we can sell legal marijuana here in New York State.
Right.
And isn't this wonderful? And I pointed out from day one the flaws in the law.
We shared that here?
Yes, right. So here we are, nearly a year and a half later, and we have yet to first have our first legal taxed sale of marijuana in New York State anywhere. There has not been a single dispensary license issued. Nothing.
Because I know people are mulling it over in their local towns.
Yeah, but meanwhile, we have
back at the ranch,
hundreds and hundreds of quote-unquote dispensaries that are operating across the state and have not been shut down. Even though they're illegal at this point.
Wait a minute. Well, people are selling stuff and it's not covered by the state?
Nope. No. So if you drive through the Seneca Nation territory and you see dispensaries.
Yeah, I do.
Now keep in mind that they are a sovereign nation.
Right.
They have the ability to do this.
Right.
But they could have done this 30 or 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. Why now? Why all of a sudden now do we have these things popping up like mushrooms on native territories across New York State? It's because of the botched law, the botched handling of the legalization of recreational marijuana in New York State. Because you decriminalized the possession. Right. So there's no consequence for anyone. Also, you can go right now into Midtown Manhattan, on Long Island, into Ellicottville, New York, and you will find dispensaries. They refer to them as sticker shops, where you walk in and you buy a T-shirt or a sticker, and they gift you marijuana. What? And those are operating right now. And
wait a minute. Let me get this. You get marijuana as a side gift?
Yes.
They're not selling it to you. You're just getting it as a compliment.
This is because of the horribly flawed legalization of recreational marijuana in New York State. I've pointed this out since day one. And look, if you're in favor of recreational marijuana being legal, I understand. You should be ashamed of how New York State has botched this. Because here's the thing. They promised us, for all the issues it's going to cause, all the new law enforcement and public health issues, that we were going to get $350 million a year in tax revenue. Now,
doesn't sound like you're going to get much out of the way it's being handled now.
Do you know what was put in the budget this year?
No. I'm afraid to ask. You're going to tell me anyway.
So we were promised $350 million in tax revenue that was going to help offset all of the challenges of legalization of recreational marijuana. In this year's budget that was passed, $56 million is the projection. And I don't think you're going to even get to that. I'm not sure who's going to, when they event, keep in mind, there is yet to be a single dispensary license. There's yet to be the first legal sale has not occurred. A year and a half later. Now we have the Office of Cannabis Management that is filled with six-figure jobs, millions and millions of taxpayer dollars that have been spent to create this Office of Cannabis Management. They have yet to issue a single license. So what have they done so far in 18 months?
I don't know.
Well, it's a short list.
Okay.
Number one, they've said to us that when we do eventually issue a license, criminals are going to go to the front of the line for a dispensary license.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that if you are a farmer, you can have up to a whopping 1 acre of marijuana. Now, where we come from, that's not a farm, that's a garden. But in order to have that up to 1 acre, you must sign an agreement with a labor union in order to do that. That's all that's all that's come out of the Office of Cannabis Management so far. That's what the millions and millions of taxpayer dollars that have already been spent have yielded from the Office of Cannabis Management. That's why I laugh when I see the Village of Fredonia talking about there's some people that want to open up a dispensary. Okay, who are these people? Because if they're not criminals, chances are they're going to have a hard time getting a license.
Right.
And secondly, if you're going to invest money without even knowing if you're going to get a license, and there is no information, there is no application, there is nothing you can do, this is just a lot of folly, in my opinion.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This
so
is sad.
It's very sad because...
Well, because I did see some of the positives of it, that it would regulate the product and it make it safe and so forth. But now it's just a free-for-all, basically.
It is a free-for-all. I mean, there are, just within a 15-minute drive of my house, I live in the town of Hanover in Sunset Bay, close to the Seneca Nation. Oh, there's got to be 30 dispensaries open right now. And again, that is their legal right. They are a sovereign nation.
Right.
But they could have done it years ago when they started selling cigarettes and gasoline, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't they? Because they didn't
it's
have the benefit
decriminalized.
of the decriminalization.
Wow.
So that's, I mean, and it's sad, but I want people to know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people out there, the vast majority of New Yorkers believe that we should legalize recreational marijuana. It's how we did it and how we botched it that's the problem. And we could have learned from other states that did it and made mistakes, and instead.
Is there any legislation or anything?
Well, I've argued this. I've argued this with the sponsors. I've argued this. In fact, Diane Savino, who will not be returning to the Senate, she's decided to retire, was one of the original authors. She threw her hands up and said, she said to me, "George, you're right," and that this is a complete disaster.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
Okay. I always promise you that I'm always going to bring this up, so let's bring it up.
All right.
You know what it is? The Gateway Project.
Yes.
Anything on that?
You know,
And if there isn't, that's okay.
Yeah, no. In fact, of course, we had the Love's Travel Center open, which was
Beautiful.
great. Yeah, it was fantastic. And I have had conversations with the county executive, with the IDA, and they do want to try and continue the Gateway Center project. It is a great project, a great concept.
I agree.
I've been to that sad one on Grand Island where nothing is going on. $34 million. That should have been in Ripley. I mean, we all know that, right?
Right.
So there's still opportunity. I think we've got to get through this upcoming election, and once the dust settles, we'll take another run at it. But I'm absolutely still committed to that Gateway Center, that design, that study that we did. The county executive, the IDA.
The renderings you had of the project were unbelievably great. I mean, it was wonderful.
I'm still so excited about that. Look, these things don't happen fast in government.
And you told us.
Yes.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. What do you want to talk about? Your call.
You know what? I want to take a minute to talk about this study that's being done by NYSERDA that would look at us placing industrial wind turbines into Lake Erie. Okay. I think people need to know that this is happening. This study is rigged because I've debated this directly with the head of NYSERDA and others. The only people on this study are people that are involved in green energy, quote unquote green energy. The risk to our water supply, the risk to our quality of life, the risk to our property values is great. It's never been done anywhere. They'll lie and say, oh, it's been done in the Netherlands in freshwater. It's never been done in a massive freshwater body that is the source of drinking water for 11 million people. Right. There is no reason to do it. The cost of generating electricity from offshore wind is more than double land-based wind turbines. Are we short of land to do? No. There's no reason to do this. This is virtue signaling, and this is a crony capitalism and opportunism. So we need to speak out. The people here in Chautauqua County, throughout Western New York, need to speak out. Why would you risk threatening our drinking water? You and I both are old enough to remember when Lake Erie was declared a dead lake.
Absolutely.
And that stuff is still there, folks.
You want to go in there.
It's right. And they're going to have to. They'll say they're going to lie and say, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to float these wind turbines. We're going to use a giant suction cup to put them on the bottom of the lake." That's all bunk. It's never been done anywhere in the world. They're going to have to pour millions of tons of concrete. They're going to have to dig down to the lake bed, and they're going to disturb all of that stuff that made Lake Erie a dead lake in my lifetime and your lifetime. Stand up against this, folks. It's going to happen if we don't.
Okay. Folks, that was George Borrello, your New York State Senator from District 57th District. George, as always, it's been fun talking with you and enlightening, and you always provide me new information. So I always feel like I'm a better informed voter, and at least when I speak to people about issues, I at least know a little bit more than I did.
Thank you.
So good luck to you no matter what you do, and thanks for representing us in Albany. I know it's not a fun ride. So folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise. My guest has been George Borrello, our state senator, and I hope you learned something too, and you may take him up on some of his suggestions here. So early voting is in process as we speak. So get out there and vote, and it's your right. And we'll see you next week. Chautauqua Sunrise, 9 a.m. Take care now. Bye-bye.
So that was great.